This meeting will be conducted by audio and video conference without a physically present quorum of the Rock Island City Council due to the disaster declaration issued by Governor Pritzker. Because of this order related to COVID-19 public health concerns affecting the state and the city, the mayor has determined that an in-person meeting at City Hall with all its participants is not practical or prudent. Aldermen and staff may not all be physically present at City Hall due to the disaster, and physical attendance at City Hall may be limited. To participate remotely during the public comment or public hearing portion of the meeting, please join by phone at 1-984-444-8698 and use PIN number 757-577-779#.
Thank you. Roll call.
Alderman Clark. Alderman Hurt.
Here.
Alderman Spurgettis.
Present.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Here.
Alderman Parker.
Here.
Alderman Poulos.
Here.
Alderman Geenan.
Here.
Mayor Tomes.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I'm sure everybody at home said the pledge. All right, public comment. Is there anyone out there that wishes to address the council? *6 will unmute your phones if you're out there. Out there in that virtual land.
This is Peter Rucklick, 2128 32nd Street. I just want to say that I'm here, and any questions City Council might have during discussion of item 23, the updated draft for the zoning code, just to let you know that I'm here and available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council? *6.
Mayor Tomes, this is Tanner Osing. I live at 2124 28th Street, Rock Island, with my wife. As Peter just mentioned, here with Independent Rock Island, and happy to answer any questions once item number 23 regarding the 2020 zoning code comes up. Thank you.
Could you repeat your name and spell it for us, please, so we can have it for the record?
Tanner Osing, TANNEROSING.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? All right. I never know. Hearing none. Here's noises. We'll do item number 7.
Minutes from the November 23rd, 2020 City Council meeting.
Item number 7.
Yep, sorry, Alderman Geenan, motion to approve the minutes as printed. Sorry, I'm usually later on the agenda.
Swanson seconds.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spurgettis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
Aye.
Alderman Poulos.
Aye.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 8, update Rock Island. Rock Island Milan School District 41, blended learning opportunity. The Rock Island Milan School District plans to begin blended learning on January 19th, 2021. If parents do not submit a commitment form for their students by December 22nd, the student will remain in remote learning third quarter through March 10 of 2021. Parents can review the remote and blended learning plans on the RIMSD41.org website or contact their child's school with any questions. Holiday schedule. In observance of the holidays, City Hall will be closed Thursday, December 24th, Friday, December 25th, and Friday, January 1st. The garbage collection will be on schedule through Thursday, December 24th, and Thursday, December 31st, and one day late the rest of both those weeks. Recycling will be on normal collection schedule both weeks. The city's library will be closed Thursday, December 24th, Friday, December 25th, and Thursday, December 31st, and Friday, January 1st. For more information, please visit www.rigov.org. Snow routes. As we enter the winter season, please note that parking is not allowed on designated snow routes when 2 or more inches of snow have fallen until the snow has been removed. Snow routes are marked by street signage. Vehicles in violation of this ordinance will receive a $35 parking ticket. Vehicles that remain in violation will be towed. In the event of snow, major emphasis is placed on primary streets and hills with secondary priority given to school areas. Residential streets are cleared when the primary and secondary streets are complete. The Winter Nights, Winter Lights exhibit, the outdoor gardens at the Quad City Botanical Center will be in winter bloom with their largest light display yet. Open every night, including Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, and the night of New Year's Eve day. Tickets must be purchased online at qcgardens.com. The City of Rock Island and the City Council wishes everyone a very happy and safe holiday season. Item number 9.
Special ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property at 916 7th Avenue, Rock Island, parcel number 092276, PIN number 0913600100, to Christopher Rice for $842.50 plus closing costs. Second reading.
Alderman Poulos would make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Spaghettis seconds.
It's moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Spaghettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
Aye.
Alderman Poulos,
Aye.
Alderman Geenan,
Aye. Aye.
Alderman Hurt. Alderman Hurt?
We lost
No
him.
response, 5-0, motion carries.
Item number 10.
Special ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property at 920 7th Avenue, Rock Island, parcel number 092277, PIN number 0734440002, to the Jackson Group for $842.50 plus closing cost. Second reading.
Alderman Parker will move to approve the ordinance.
Spaghettis. Go ahead.
Swanson seconds.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spaghettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
Aye.
Alderman Poulos,
Aye.
Alderman Geenan,
Aye.
Alderman Hurt. Alderman Hurt? No response, 5-0, motion carries.
Item number 11.
Tax abatement resolutions, A through R. A, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $47,623.33, such funds to be provided from revenues of the hydropower fund to pay principal and interest on general obligation clean renewable energy bonds, Series 2008C. B, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $72,450, such funds to be provided from revenues of the debt service fund and sewer fund to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2011A. Resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $219,087.52, such funds to be provided from revenues of the debt service, gaming, Sunset Marina, and water funds to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2012A. Resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $736,968.76, such funds to be provided from revenues of the debt service fund and gaming fund to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2013A. Resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $117,653.76, such funds to be provided from revenues of the gaming fund to pay principal and interest on taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2013B. F, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $666,662.50, such funds to be provided from revenue of gaming to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2014A. G, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $406,440, such funds to be provided from gaming of tax increment financing and sales tax to pay principal and interest on taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2014B. H, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $548,412.50, such funds to be provided from revenues of the debt service and gaming funds to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2015A. I, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $547,200, such funds to be provided from revenues of the debt service, gaming, and sewer funds to pay principal and interest on general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2015B. J, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $254,600, such funds to be provided from revenues of the gaming fund to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2016A. K, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $82,468.76, such funds to be provided from revenues of the tax increment financing fund and sales tax to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2016C. L, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $554,731.26, such funds to be provided from revenues from the hydro plant, parks, and gaming funds to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2017A. M, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $824,000, such funds to be provided from revenues of the tax increment financing funds to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2017B. N, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $473,600, such funds to be provided from revenues of the water fund and wastewater fund to pay principal and interest on taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2019A. O, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $294,882.50, such funds to be provided from revenues of the tax increment financing fund to pay principal and interest on taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2019B. P, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $143,242.50, such funds to be provided from revenue of tax increment financing and sales tax to pay principal and interest on taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2019C. Q, resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $61,018.76. Such funds to be provided from revenues of the gaming fund to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2019D and R. Resolution authorizing tax abatement in the amount of $912,347.78. Such funds to be provided from revenues of the water and wastewater, parks and recreation, gaming, library, and debt funds to pay principal and interest on general obligation bonds, Series 2020.
Alderwoman Swanson moves to adopt the tax abatement resolutions A through R as recommended and direct the interim finance director to file them with the county clerk.
Alderman Poulos will second that.
It's moved in second. After all that reading, we want to hear it again, right? Do
I'm
we have
just
any
so
other
glad I have to read it.
Is there anybody have any discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll do roll call.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Aye.
Alderman Poulos?
Aye.
Alderman Geenan?
Aye.
Alderman Hurt? Alderman Hurt?
Technical problems, you've been in and out.
5-0, motion carries.
Muted. Okay, item number 12.
Claims. A report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment to David G. Morrison, Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $15,410.26 for services rendered November 1st through November 30th, 2020. B, report from the Information Technology Department regarding payment to ESRI, Redlands, California, for the Geographical Information System, GIS software maintenance renewal for 2021. And C, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $8,398.31 to McClintock Trucking and Excavating Incorporated, Silvis, Illinois, for the Sewer Lateral Repair Program, Project 2564, for the services provided at 1121 45th Street, Rock Island.
Alderman Spargettis moves to approve claim items A through C.
Alderman Poulos will second.
Then moved in second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Aye.
Alderman Poulos?
Aye.
Alderman Geenan?
Aye.
Alderman Hurt? Alderman Hurt? Still no response. 5-0, motion carries.
Item 12D.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $332,112.72 to Civil Constructors Incorporated, East Moline, Illinois, for the water filtration facility, Project 2760, for services provided August 28th through September 24th, 2020.
Alderman Poulos will make a motion to approve claim and item D.
Spargettis seconds.
And moved in second. Is there any discussion?
This is Alderman Parker. I need to recuse myself from this vote due to the nature of my employment.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Poulos?
Yes.
Alderman Geenan?
Aye.
Alderman Hurt? Alderman Hurt? All right, no response. 4-0, motion carries.
Item 13.
Claims for the week of November 13th through November 19th, 2020, in the amount of $520,686.48. November 20th through December 3rd, 2020, in the amount of $596,456.12. December 4th through December 10th, 2020, in the amount of $743,684.79. And payroll for the weeks of November 16th through November 29th, 2020, in the amount of $1,490,010.12.
Alderman Geenan moves to allow the claims and payroll.
Swanson seconds.
Been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes. Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Aye.
Alderman Pulis?
Aye.
Alderman Geenan?
Aye.
Alderman Hurt? No response. 5-0, motion carries.
Item 14.
ACH payments for the month of September 2020 in the amount of $2,038,655.96.
Alderman Poulos will make a motion to approve the ACH payments.
Forget seconds.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Aye.
Alderman Pulis?
Aye.
Alderman Geenan?
Aye.
Alderman Hurt?
Yeah.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 15.
Purchase card claims for the period of August 27th through September 28th, 2020, in the amount of $57,675.90.
Alderman Parker will move to approve the purchase card claims.
Alderman Poulos will second.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Aye.
Alderman Pulis?
Aye.
Alderman Geenan?
Aye.
Alderman Hurt?
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 16.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding the mandatory risk and resilience assessment and emergency response plans, recommending that contract be awarded to H.R. Green, McHenry, Illinois, in the amount of $25,400.
Swanson moves to approve the contract as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Alderman Hurt seconds.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion?
I have a comment on this, and this goes to an item that we're going to be discussing later on. In the last couple weeks, we have asked staff to make some significant sacrifices, and as much as I would like to keep this in Rock Island, if it's not the lowest bidder, I can in good conscience come back and ask or tell the citizens that we took a bid that was higher than that was which was presented. It's unfortunate and maybe something that we need to look at in the future to have some guidelines where we can give a Rock Island business preferential consideration.
Correct. And if people didn't notice, IMEG, for example, is one of them. There's two other Rock Island companies, IMEG and another one. IMEG was about $4,000 higher, and there was talk about, should we keep it in Rock Island but pay a little more? And that could be debated several different ways. But so that's the means for that comment, that someday we need to address that if we want to give some preferential treatment to local contractors. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Aye.
Alderman Pulis?
Aye.
Alderman Geenan?
Aye.
Alderman Hurt?
Yeah.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 17.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a 5-year contract for landfill services, recommending the contract be awarded to Millennium Waste, Milan, Illinois.
Alderman Spargettis moves to approve the contract as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Alderman Poulos will second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Parker?
Aye.
Alderman Pulis?
Aye.
Alderman Geenan?
Aye.
Alderman Hurt?
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 18,
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a change to the multi-year maintenance contract and payment in the amount of $41,102 to Environmental Dynamic International, Columbia, Missouri, for additional labor, equipment, and materials needed to implement the requested change order for the wastewater treatment plant aeration diffuser replacement/cleaning, Project 2808/2809.
Alderman Hurt, motion to approve the change order and payment as recommended.
Swanson, second.
been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
Aye.
Alderman Poulos,
Aye.
Alderman Skeenan,
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 19,
Report from the Finance Department regarding the banking service agreement with American Bank and Trust Company, N.A., recommending a 5-year period beginning January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2025, with an automatic renewal for an additional 5-year period beginning January 1st, 2026, and ending December 31st, 2030.
Alderman Guinan makes a motion to approve the agreement as recommended, subject to minor attorney modifications, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement and associated documents.
Swanson, second.
been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
Aye.
Alderman Poulos,
Aye.
Alderman Guinan,
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 20,
Report from the Finance Department regarding an ordinance for the levy, assessment, and collection of property taxes for the City of Rock Island for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021. First reading.
Alderman Poulos would make a motion to consider the ordinance as recommended.
Swanson, second.
it's been moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, this is Alderman Parker. I'll make my comments brief because communication is not the easiest here while we are remote. I want to first say thank you to my colleagues on the City Council that have worked very hard on this budget. I understand it took a lot of time, and I appreciate our city staff's work on this budget. I will be voting no on the budget simply on a disagreement in priority or policy, not suggesting that anything else otherwise by my colleagues who will be voting in favor. Obviously, I am sympathetic to the desire to keep property taxes as low as possible for the taxpayers. I have done my part over the past couple of years to invest in this city with the public sector. Our expenses continue to grow, and we can't simply push out all the other things that the city has to do because of that. We have to do everything. So I will not be supporting this budget. I don't think it invests enough in the city.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, this is Alderman Guinan. I just want to make a few comments just for some context. I'm going to be supporting this budget for the reason that since I've been on council, we've been providing the constituents, at least of the 7th Ward, a tax increase almost every year. And I agree that we need to take a break. But I also vote with this budget with also the understanding that this is maybe a temporary break. Taxes are something that are always going to have to come as a difficult decision to the city, but it is part of our obligation to the future generations. So if we were in different situations than we were now, I probably would be voting against it, but I'm voting for this budget this year and appreciate all the work that staff has done.
Any further?
This is Alderwoman Swanson. And I just want to say that we are in unprecedented times with this pandemic. The city and the state have asked businesses and residents to forfeit quite a bit financially. People have lost jobs, businesses have closed, incomes have been affected. And I think that I am voting for this. I think that the city, and I was on the finance committee with the directors and the city manager, and I think we've worked really, really hard to make changes because we are investing in our residences. And I agree with Alderman Parker that the city does need to have funds invested in it to grow. But I think what we're doing right now is we're showing the residents of Rock Island that we are investing in you and we understand and we care what you are going through. And we are all in this together, and together we need to work so that when we come out on the end, we're all in a position to move forward and succeed.
Correct. Any other further discussion?
Could we have Linda Barnes come up and give a brief discussion about what this entails for those who do not have the packet in front of them?
Sure.
And while she's making her way, I would again like to thank our city manager and the department heads, because I know that they've gone through considerable efforts to try to make this come true, or at least reduce the amount of stress that residents in Rock Island have faced this last year.
Okay,
Barnes?
good evening, everyone. So just kind of going back to November 9th, an overview of the 2021 budget was presented to council at that time. So included in the proposed property tax levy was an increase of 7.57% and a tax rate increase of 6.24%. So since the tax levy was 5% higher than the previous year, there was a truth in taxation hearing. And that took place November 23rd. So at that time, there was no public comments. However, with discussions with council, city manager and mayor, the departments went back to the cutting board and made additional cuts. So that's where we are tonight. The changes, the proposed tax levy increase is at 1.25%, and this is due to the estimated assessed value, so that's not the tax rate. The tax rate increase, there is no tax rate increase, so there will be no change for that. It's still at 2.7497%. So the estimated total property taxes to be levied for 2020 will be $13,544,928.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other further comments? I know that, once again, nobody made comments, not to drag this out, but the public did not make comments that night of the hearing, but I believe most of us, if not all of us, received emails, phone calls after that. Most of them, I know all the ones I had, were do not increase it at all. There's no doubt about that. It's gone up a number of years, a number of increases in percentage, and it's putting us potentially at a disadvantage. But we do have to pay the bills. We got to make sure we have the core services for the city of Rock Island. So it was very difficult. To repeat, it was very, very difficult for not only the directors, but all the employees of the city of Rock Island. This is not an easy task. A lot of people are not going to get a merit increase because of this. Positions will not be replaced because of this. And there will be some areas that the service level will be slower than it used to be. And so we apologize for those, but that's what it takes, unfortunately, at this time, to be able to hold the tax rate down. There's a pain for the gain, I guess, as they say. And so that's where we're at. There will be some positions that we had a hiring freeze most of this year. Some of those positions will be rehired, some will be scaled in over as the year goes, and some will not be replaced at all this year. Some will be then the next year, but there may be some that are never replaced, depending on each year's and see how it goes. But unfortunately, we're having to make those tough cuts. Most of the people I know I talked to said, if you have to cut services, cut services. We just can't afford anymore. And with the pandemic, there's a lot of people out there that have been suffering for unemployment or reduced hours, et cetera. And so we sympathize with those, and we want to be just to those. And I say we, because everybody has chipped in. And so the council and the city manager did, put this directive out there to reduce it to almost zero, if not zero. And that's what staff has accomplished at this point. So as the year goes, I guess I bring this type of deal that sometimes as the citizens or council, some say, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? How come we're not doing this? And it'll be because we had to make those painful cuts. And there will be we'll have to use the word no more in 2021 than we did in 2020, unfortunately. And it's not a fun thing to say, and I hate to be a downer. The up is that it's not going to go increase, but the same token is we got to be realistic that there's going to be some pain with it.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we also should be clear that there are going to be several projects that we had planned that are still going to go on, that are funded in other means. So it's not all doom and gloom.
That's correct. There's no doubt there's TIF funds out there that things will be done. There'll be grants that we receive that issues will be taken care of. Street repairs, resurfacing. A lot of times there's the state grant, state with it, that they pay 80% of it, we pay 20, and you can't turn that down. So you're correct, Alderman Pulisic. There will be those projects that are happening. And so it's a good thing we're still being able to do those. So it's not everything's gone, but one of the highest cost factors in the city of Rock Island and most business is labor. And that's where we are taking a hit with a lot of it, is in the labor side of it. Then the other is capital improvements. And having to reduce doing capital improvements and either delaying them or eliminating them, whichever the case may be. And it does bring me, and not to get on a soapbox, but it does bring me to the performance contract that we have with Johnson Controls. We are putting $12 million into the public facilities to make them more high efficiency, reduce the energy cost, reduce maintenance costs. But I want to remind people, and which is very positive, like you talked about, but that is being self-funded by the efficiencies that those improvements make. And so it's not on the heels of the property tax holder and payer. So we will see those improvements and in the future here in this next year and a half or so. So those are very positive things and exciting things that this city council has enacted and put in place. So thank you for that forethought of everyone. Is there any other comments?
This is Alderman Hurt. Hello?
Yes.
I would just also like to reiterate, thank you again to staff and for fellow council for guiding, I guess, for taking a look at this and making some difficult choices going forward in 2021. And I also believe that the citizens are struggling this year, and I think we do have to sacrifice some things in order to keep this no change. Again, thank you.
Alderman Hurt, you're still up if you wish. Okay.
One more question, Mr. Mayor. This is Alderman Parker again, perhaps for City Manager Tweet or whomever. Does the proposed budget include money budgeted for members of the City Council to receive health insurance through the city?
It does. There were no changes to any of the line items for any of the mayor or council.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
No.
Alderman Pulis,
Yes.
Alderman Geenan,
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
5-1, motion carries.
Item 21,
Report from the Finance Department regarding an ordinance adopting the budget for the fiscal year January 1, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021, first reading.
Swanson moves to consider the ordinance as recommended.
Poulos will second.
it's been moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
No.
Alderman Pulis,
Yes.
Alderman Geenan,
Yes.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
5-1, motion carries.
Item 22,
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned real estate described as 534 24th Avenue, parcel 10130-4, PIN number 16102011016, to Jeff Lamb for $5,527.35 plus closing cost. First reading.
Alderman Parker will move to approve the sale as recommended, authorize the city manager to execute the sale agreement and consider the ordinance.
Poulos will second.
been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
Aye.
Alderman Pulis,
Aye.
Alderman Geenan,
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 23,
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the updated zoning code, first reading.
Spargettis moves to approve the updated zoning code as recommended and consider the ordinance.
Hurt, second.
been moved in second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, this is Alderman Parker. City Manager Tweet, I was under the impression that staff was going to be getting us some options as far as how this zoning code could do better to preserve the human-oriented built environment that exists in Rock Island. That apparently is not the case, seeing as how I haven't seen any options, and now we are considering this. What happened with that?
Well, staff is ready to discuss options if the council wishes. The alderman no one came forward and objected. I had a couple of questions, but nobody besides yourself has objected to anything that's on the table. But we're certainly prepared to discuss any options at this point now that the item has been motioned and seconded, and we're happy to discuss it. And if the council wants to move in another direction, then we're happy to do that.
Well, I guess, I don't know if this is the best environment or whatever the word is I'm looking for to have these sort of nuanced discussions. I guess one question for clarification, with the updating zoning code, as it's been presented here, my example that I've used often is Cool Beans, or I guess Cool Beans doesn't own that building. But anyway, the corner of 14th Avenue and 30th Street, if that building were to come down tomorrow, is there anything in this updated zoning code that would ensure that a replacement redevelopment at that parcel would retain the human-oriented built environment of our College Hill district, for example?
Yeah, so this is Miles. I think I'll respond to that. So a couple of things. First, in the code as it exists now, there are certain restrictions within the B1 zoning district, and that property is in that district, that would make redevelopment of it to anything other than something very similar to what it is now very difficult. For example, in B1 districts right now, in the existing code, and still true in the new proposed code, you can't have drive-throughs. They're prohibited in B1 zoning districts. In the updated code, we've actually added quite a bit of language which we think would help to reinforce that exact sort of environment you're describing. If you go to, I believe it's page 48 in the updated code, you can see we've added a whole collection of different design standards for the redevelopment of business and office districts. Many of these are geared toward ensuring that we maintain a high quality of urban design and place an emphasis on pedestrian-oriented design. So you can see a collection of different things included in the code about how the building should be oriented to the street, making sure that we don't have large empty walls, that there's appropriate window space and design features, making sure that the arrangement of things on a site, like dumpsters or mechanical equipment, is kept out of sight and out of the way, that there's facilities available for bicycle parking. We've included also some rules about how the arrangement of parking on a site should be made to match those things near to the site. So if we are looking at the Cool Bean site, you can see that most things in that area are oriented such that they have parking in the rear. So anything we would measure 150 feet from the Cool Bean site, if it were to be redeveloped, would need to have its parking oriented in the same way as those nearby properties. So staff is confident that if a property like that, heaven forbid, suddenly was open for new development, that it would be development according to these standards that was in keeping with the surrounding character of that neighborhood.
All right, so as City Manager Tweet has proposed here, apparently there are some options available that would further protect or preserve. I don't know. You're making it sound like that what has been proposed does it, and there's no need for this to discuss options. Why is City Manager Tweet telling me that we can discuss options that would further protect the human-built environment while you're telling me that it already does?
Well, Mr. Parker, I think that the city manager and I are interested to know if you have certain changes you'd like to see us make. We have not received any feedback that makes it seem like anyone is concerned on the council about these standards not achieving what we are hoping they will. Staff has a high level of confidence that we will get what we want using these standards. So I'm not sure. Are there other things that you would like for us to include or change? We haven't received any feedback that leads us to think there are other things that the council members are looking for us to do here. So I guess what the city manager and I are hoping is if you have something you want changed, you'll let us know.
Well, is everyone, are all of my colleagues prepared this evening, fully educated on zoning code to make a decision as to whether a facade should have 70% or 40% window coverage? It's something like that I would propose that we should explore. And if we really think that this is the appropriate venue for us to discuss these nuances, then okay. However, I would ask that we consider tabling this discussion and have a more detailed conversation about what kind of protections and preservations we want specifically for the already existing human-oriented built environment of Rock Island.
Well,
this is Alderman Gein and Alderman Parker, I agree with that. I think there's no hurry. I think we could table this, and I know it's close to the 7th Ward, and we've heard with Independent Rock Island, we've asked from city staff, where does it state in this code that it does protect the walkable nature of those neighborhoods? I just feel that perhaps we all need to get to work a few more things out.
If I may interject, one other thing to point out here is that this has been a project that's been going on for about 4 years, if not a little bit longer. It involved an extensive public engagement campaign that was done with a consultant out of Chicago. They produced an extensive report compiling all of the feedback from the community. It is informed by a collection of other codes that we see consistently applied in similar communities. We have based a lot of this language off of things that we see in our peer communities. We have met with Independent Rock Island many times over the last several years. Some of the language that they have asked to be incorporated has been incorporated with some tweaks. The tweak, of course, mentioned by Mr. Parker about the 40% versus the 70%. Well, the 40% is what we see more often in a lot of our other communities. There isn't a clear justification to go outside of that norm. So I suppose the staff view on this is that a great deal of time and a lot of money, actually, has been invested in doing the work to put together the text as it is. If there are some tweaks that council members would like to see made, we're of course amenable to that. But I don't want there to be any sort of impression that there hasn't been an extensive amount of dialogue and research and work done to put something forward that we think is not only going to work well from an administrative level, but accomplish a lot of the things that both council members and members of the public asked be accomplished. You know, the other thing too to point out is that we don't want to have a code that has absolutely no flexibility in it so that we can accommodate people when appropriate, or which is so restrictive that in a lot of cases people are going to pursue variances or special use permits or come to the council to seek regulatory relief. So we wanted to make sure that the code that we had helps to direct development in a direction that is in keeping with the values of the community as we have heard them, but also makes sense and is not going to be overly burdensome on new development, which I would hope we can all agree we sorely need. So, of course, staff remains open if there's things that people would like to hear about or would like more information on, or small tweaks that they'd like to be reflected in the code. We're happy to have that talk. I just don't want there to be a thought that this is something that's been thrown together all of a sudden. It's the work of several years and has involved quite a lot of research and feedback. So, you know, happy to provide any more information on it.
You know, I would like us to discuss it now because this is the appropriate venue where all the aldermen can speak openly with each other. And I think that's the only way to discuss this. As Miles mentioned, we've discussed this in front of council a number of times in the last almost 2 years, and here we are. So if we want to if there's some changes or tweaks that council wants, and one of them, Dylan, you were asking, would be to make the code more restrictive and less flexible. You know, limiting exactly what a building could look like or exactly how far it could be set back. Those are options that can be thrown out there. It does, you know, restrict the type of businesses that we can put in there, and it would offer some restriction on development, but it would ensure, you know, more compliance. How strict do you want to make the zoning code? Those are the kind of things we need to discuss. Right now, as Miles said, we think it's flexible enough that it will accomplish what everyone wants. It'd still allow us to pursue development, but we're certainly open and willing to listen to anything, and I think this is a nice venue to do that.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And I concur with what Alderman Parker was saying to a degree that, you know, we want to maintain the ambiance that we have in the 14th Avenue and 18th Avenue and the Hilltop business area. But I don't want to be so restrictive that we don't get the development up there that we very much need. There has to be, and maybe I misunderstood Miles when we had our discussion earlier a month ago, but it's my understanding that the current wording provides the staff with the flexibility to maintain that ambiance, that atmosphere, the walkability that makes it a neighborhood that people want to live in. But it doesn't restrict them so much to where they would lose, and I guess we would have to rely on some common sense and good judgment about what was going in there. And I personally have a lot of faith in our staff. I just don't want us to be so restrictive that we're chasing business away. We don't have that luxury.
Yes, this is Alderman Parker again. I think that fundamentally this is we're looking at the same thing from two different vantage points. And one, the position that I have, and I've tried to communicate with staff and with the public and my colleagues on City Council, is that Rock Island is unique in comparison to all of our neighboring communities in the dense urban development, not just of our downtown, which certainly is, but more so than that, our entire city really is quite dense, walkable, healthy lifestyles. Could flourish in the geographic development of the city over the many years that we've been growing. To me, that is an asset. That is arguably one of the main reasons that I moved from Davenport, Iowa to Rock Island, Illinois, is because when I lived on 18th Avenue, I could walk to the grocery store. That needs to be protected in my case, or in my opinion, because that is going to get more people to move to Rock Island than a drive-through Dunkin' Donuts, in my opinion. And so that is why I have been so adamantly, that's why I've been advocating so much that we do everything that we can to protect the human-oriented built environment in Rock Island and to leverage it as an asset. I question whether what has been proposed by staff is actually flexible. We have, members of the public, Independent Rock Island here listening in on the meeting who have repeatedly told us that this is not flexible. This is, there's nothing in here that really prevents, and I'm being hyperbolic, but there is a genuine concern on their part that if Dunkin' Donuts were to be rebid tomorrow, it would end up the exact same way it is today. And while I am sympathetic to the needs to grow our commercial businesses in Rock Island, I'm not willing to do that to sacrifice a very, very unique asset that Rock Island has. And that is where I'm hoping to have a little bit more protection and preservation of these walkable areas in Rock Island. Thank you.
But 18th Avenue isn't walkable.
To me, I think it is.
It is by and large, it is a main thoroughfare through Rock Island. 14th Avenue, I would agree is walkable. That is but you see a lot of businesses up on 18th Avenue that wouldn't be there if we didn't have that flexibility to give a little bit.
I mean, I see Augustana students walking up to Hy-Vee all the time, or Whitey's or whatever. So it is walkable. They can still walk to it. They can still get to it and see what's on the street. Did somebody else have something out there to say?
Yeah, this is Alderwoman Swanson. So the 18th Avenue borders my ward. I walk this town a lot. I do not like walking on 18th Avenue. It may be walkable, but it's a busy, busy street, and there is sidewalks right up to the road, and it is not a safe road to walk on. It may be walkable, but it's not a safe road to walk on. I prefer to drop down to 14th, which is much nicer to walk on. It's not a busy street. And when you walk on those streets or drive through both those streets, it's a very different atmosphere. Yeah, 14th and 30th is a nice, cozy, little residential commercial district down there, which is very, very nice. 18th Avenue, the majority of those buildings are set back or are businesses within a strip mall type situation. If you want to go ahead and say, oh, they have to have so much window space or they have to be brought up closer to the sidewalk, well, are you going to tear down an entire strip mall to pull it up? I mean, you may have one business that wants to come in, but they have to kind of come in the structure that's already there. So I think and this code is for all of Rock Island, and 11th Street is very, very different than 18th and 14th, and each area has its own unique thing. And I think we have to give a little bit of credence and credibility to the staff that as new businesses come in and they're looking at places to develop and where to locate, depending on the business, there's good spots for them and there's bad spots for them. And while you can't deter someone away from a space that they really, really want to be in, you can't have a conversation with them about blending in with the neighborhood and the area right there. I love to walk. I love the walkability of Rock Island. I think it's great. And I want to keep it. I want to encourage it. But we do have to be aware that there are very, very different areas in this town, and it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. So you have to have some flexibility.
And in the traffic you're talking about, doesn't dictate where the building's located on that street, doesn't dictate the traffic. If it's set back, doesn't make it safer to walk, or if it's put forward, doesn't make it safer to walk. 18th Avenue is heavily traveled, where 14th is not as heavily traveled.
Well, 18th is a pretty much direct shot through the city.
That's right.
I mean, 14th kind of is too, but you got to zigzag, a little bit to get through.
Right.
But yeah, it's a main drag through the city.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the concern is that if we do nothing, then 14th Avenue will become just as uncomfortable to walk along as 18th Avenue is today. I agree that this is a zoning code for the entire city, and we are talking about pockets within Rock Island. Perhaps, this is why we need to be having more nuanced conversations about overlay districts, which I know originally our comprehensive plan included pursuing overlay districts. Chandler Poole, our former economic development director, specifically told me that we could explore an overlay district for 18th Avenue when I was first elected, and Dunkin' Donuts was the big conversation. But however, now our staff are saying that they don't want to pursue an overlay district out of to simplify things, and so I'm perfectly happy talking, considering this zoning update, because I think it does a good job at addressing the zoning needs citywide, if we will consider an overlay district to specifically address the more walkable, dense portions of our city. That should be better preserved so as to not end up, hostile to walking.
If I may just interject here as well, I know Tara Sipes, our economic development manager, is on the call, and she may have some comments to follow mine. But when we're talking about the types of developments we see in different areas of the city, as Alderwoman Swanson was kind of talking about, the market forces direct where different types of businesses will go. So when you look at like the 14th Avenue corridor or the 18th Avenue corridor, they are arranged differently. And as a result, they attract different types of businesses. There is a very low likelihood that the type of auto-oriented businesses that we see on 18th Avenue are going to try and locate on 14th Avenue. That's just, that is like everything possible, but the likelihood is quite low. It's the same thing where, it would be unusual for us to see the businesses on 14th try to relocate to 18th. So some of these concerns about these areas being incredibly vulnerable to undesirable forms of development, I think are perhaps a little bit strange. It is very unlikely that would occur. Plus, as I'm sure Tara can add, when we go about trying to reach out to businesses and recruit them to locate here, we're obviously very cognizant about these different areas and want to preserve their character. So we wouldn't try to bring something onto 14th Avenue that was inappropriate. Tara, I don't know if you're on and want to add anything to that.
No, I agree, Miles. You said some of what I would say. As our council members have mentioned, one of the things that's great about Rock Island is that many of our neighborhoods have very distinct characters. And so the neighborhood business district, which really is what it is, at 14th and 30th, and then further down past 38th Street, those truly do attract more of a neighborhood type business. You know, we did have contact with Starbucks in the last year, and we did not even consider any spaces that may or may not be available on 14th because it does not suit their business model. And if you go to their corporate site and look at the requirements for locations, it meets none of them. There's one location that could potentially work, but it doesn't meet the traffic counts. You know, they want a controlled intersection, this many entrances, this many exits, this traffic counts, and we just frankly can't get it on 14th Avenue. And I think that's fine because we have other business types that fit there very well. One of my other concerns about an overlay district, or one of my concerns, I guess, is that, you know, we have been asked by City Council to take a look at the barriers to development that exist in our community and what makes us different than other communities in the Quad Cities. And I'm just afraid that an overlay district may be one additional barrier that would deter developers from considering Rock Island. You know, we believe on the economic development team that there are sensible solutions to be found, and right fit solutions are really what we're focusing our efforts on when we think about all of Rock Island. So I know it's not in writing, but it's certainly a cultural thing that exists here on our team right now.
Is there anybody else that wishes to comment?
So is the council interested in some stronger language? I guess that's the question than what's currently in the code.
Well, yes, this is Alderman Parker. I think I made it plenty clear.
You have, but I haven't heard anyone else with that same opinion. And I guess that's one reason I want to talk about it openly in public here, so we can get everyone's opinion here at the same time. Because so far, I've really only heard your concerns, and I understand those concerns, specifically with regards to 14th Avenue.
And Geenan's.
And I know Dave also has that, but he didn't express it to me as strongly as you have.
I think I had it earlier in emails, and I thought they were addressed in terms of protecting, making sure sidewalks and how parking and how it promotes walkability. So I'm kind of confused as to, did we not receive documentation back saying this is where the concerns were addressed in the ordinance?
Mr. Geenan, if you look at the memo, there's a collection of different changes that were made referencing the pages where those changes were made. So those changes, specifically like the change to parking language on page 49 of the proposed code, section H for parking, I mean, those were in many ways changes made to address your concerns and the concerns of some other council members around this.
Okay.
So when a general comment is made, and I hope I don't come off like I'm not understanding things, but when a general comment is made that someone wants more protection, well, I mean, that's a rather general comment. I mean, staff have attempted to take that and add some additional layers of protection as we see appropriate. We haven't received feedback that says, I want this number to be that number, or I would like these lines of text to be taken out and these new ones put in. So that's what Mr. Tweet and I are trying to kind of discern from the council. Staff believes that we have given the council code language that addresses the concerns we heard. I think Mr. Parker is saying that he would like some specific changes made, but no one else has said quite as much. So that's what we're trying to discern.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to give the council a code that they want. So that's we're looking for that input. I understand, so Dylan, if I'm misquoting you here, I think what you're asking for would be, I think one of the items was a mandatory maximum of setback of 15 feet. So any building could not be more than 15 feet back from the sidewalk. Is that correct?
Sorry, I don't have the memo here in front of me, so I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Yeah, and that would be, so that would basically, I mean, so anything that's on 14th Avenue now, for the most part, I mean, there's an auto place and a few others, but most all meet that. Almost everything on 18th Avenue does not meet that criteria. Again, as we mentioned before, those are very different corridors, but I mean, is that the kind of thing, that's the kind of thing that I've heard, that there should be a restriction as to the setback, so the proximity to the road is set to a certain level and can't go beyond that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a fine summary of one of my policy positions.
So that would be one option if the council wanted to consider that.
I mean, this is why I'm suggesting that I don't know if this is the best venue for this discussion. I mean, we have 2-on-2 budget meetings to discuss more nuanced levels of the budget. There was a committee that talked in minute detail about these very line item-like things. I mean, do we, as a council, want to do that here now? I wasn't even prepared to go through this line by line tonight.
Yeah, it's been out there for a year and a half or so, and we're only now starting to get this detailed input. So I wonder if there's anything to be gained. We're certainly willing to sit down and have 2-on-2 meetings if there's something to be gained by that.
Nobody else has wished that at this point.
Yeah, well, and that's another matter of this too. I mean, I'm getting the sneaking suspicion here that, I know how this vote is going to go down, so we don't need to entertain. I suppose, let me just clarify it so we don't waste anybody's time. I would like to make a motion to table this vote until the second meeting in January. If there's not a second, then we don't even have to have this conversation.
Well, we already have motions on the table the second and the motion would have to be withdrawn. And then I would guess staff would need to know what would happen between now and that meeting. That's what we would need to know. I don't just want to show up again with the same items if council wants something different.
Well, if this table motion passes, then the council needs to set up 2-by-2 meetings, or whoever wants to come to a meeting and go through this line by line and talk about what we need to actually do here. If it doesn't, then we don't need to worry about it. And I thought, doesn't Robert's Rules of Order allow to make a motion to table a motion that's been presented, or do I remember that incorrectly?
You have to finish the one that's out there. We have a motion to approve it at this point in a second. Somebody would have to withdraw, those two would have to withdraw that and then bring that your table.
I think, Mayor Combs, my understanding, I think that what, this is Dave Morrison. I was having a hard time unmuting myself there, but I believe that Alderman Parker is correct that if you make a motion to table, that is considered first. So in other words, you'd have to get a second, and then if it would pass, it would be tabled. But if it were not to pass, then it would fail pass and you would go back to the original motion. That's my understanding of Robert's rules.
Perfectly fine with that. That's why we have you. Keep us straight and narrow.
Yeah.
All right. So
that is my recollection.
Okay, that's fine. Alderman Parker has made a motion to table it to, was it the first or second meeting in January?
Second meeting in January.
Second meeting.
And he would need a second, and then it would be voted on.
All right, so then I need a second to that.
Well, there you have it. We don't need to waste our time.
Okay. All right, so that has died due to no second. We will go back to the original motion and second. of approval. I'd like to do a roll call, please.
I would like to.
Oop, I'm sorry.
Call the question.
Yeah, we're calling it.
Ready?
Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
No.
Alderman Pulis.
Yes.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
5-1, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 24, I think. Is that right? Item
Report
24.
report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the calendar year 2020 budget, increasing the downtown TIF fund, Fund 201, expenditures by $50,000.
Alderman Hurd, motion to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Pulis will second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
Aye.
Alderman Pulis.
Aye.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 25.
Report from the Finance Department regarding the 5-year capital improvement plan for calendar year 2021 through calendar year 2025.
Alderman Geenan makes the motion to approve the 5-year capital improvement plan as recommended, authorize staff to implement the CY 2021 projects and expenditures pending approval for the CY 2021 budget.
Swanson seconds.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
Aye.
Alderman Pulis.
Aye.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 26.
Report from the City Clerk's Office regarding the schedule of regular meeting dates for the Rock Island City Council for the calendar year 2021 pursuant to the Open Meetings Act.
Pulis would make a motion to approve the 2021 annual schedule of council meetings as recommended.
Spargettis seconds.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Let's hope they're back in person versus virtual. Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
Aye.
Alderman Pulis.
Aye.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 27.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding the proposed 2021 summer rate changes for Sunset Marina.
Alderman Hurd, motion to authorize the increased rates as recommended.
Alderman Pulis
Parker will
will
second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
Aye.
Alderman Pulis.
Aye.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 28.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the single source procurement of the cultural liaison.
Swanson moves to approve the procurement of the liaison and authorize the city manager to execute the contract document.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
Aye.
Alderman Pulis.
Aye.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 29.
Report from the Traffic and Engineering Committee regarding a request to install a handicap parking space in front of 100 19th Street, the northwest of the main entrance to the McKesson Lofts.
Spargettis moves to approve the request and consider the ordinance.
Pulis second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
Aye.
Alderman Pulis,
Aye.
Alderman Geenan,
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 30.
Report from the Traffic and Engineering Committee regarding a request to remove residential parking zones on the east and west side of 19th Street between 7th and 8th Avenues.
This is Alderman Hurt. Motion to approve the request as recommended and consider the ordinance.
Swanson seconds.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
Aye.
Alderman Pulis,
Aye.
Alderman Geenan,
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
6-0, motion carries.
Item 31.
Report from the Mayor's Office regarding the appointment of Linda Barnes, Interim Finance Director, to complete the vacated terms as the City Treasurer and a member of the Martin Luther King Jr. Board and the Fire Pension Board.
Alderman Geenan moves to approve the appointments as recommended.
Pulis
Got
will
a second.
I'm sorry.
We'll get a second. Been moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Swanson,
Yes.
Alderman Parker,
Aye.
Alderman Pulis,
Aye.
Alderman Geenan,
Aye.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
0, motion carries.
Item 32, other business. Anything anybody wish to bring forth? We're all talking a minute ago. All right. Nothing there. Item 33.
Executive session 5 ILCS 120/2 C12. The establishment of reserves or settlement of claims is provided in the Local Governmental or Governmental Employees Tort Immunity Act if otherwise the disposition of a claim or potential claim might be prejudiced, or the review of discussion of claims, loss, or risk management information, records, data, advice, or communications from or with respect to any insurer of the public body or any intergovernmental risk management association or self-insurance pool of which the public body is a member.
Dave, do we need to note another exception also for tonight? Or is this one okay for you? Dave Morrison.
While he gets his microphone on, Randy, is there a separate link for us?
There's not. I'm just going to make sure everyone's off, and I'll kick everybody else off. So council and Chief Yerke will stay on here. The other staff we have in-house. And Dave Morrison has to stay on. Can you hear me, Dave?
I'm not Dave Morrison, but wouldn't we need to have posted that as a part of the agenda if we were going into executive session for that purpose?
No, you can go into executive session for any reason.
Any additional
It doesn't need to even, it doesn't even need to be posted, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah, as long as you cite the exception, Dave had something and I want to make sure it's the right exception. If all staff can go ahead and depart at this time, and any member of the public also, because we're going into executive session.
Well, we need to have a roll call vote. Might want to wait.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think anyone needs to hear the roll call, do they? Or maybe they do.
Roll.
Anyway, Dave Morrison, are you on?
Randy, I don't know if Dave's on, but this is Hector, and he told me to come for the executive session as well, so I assume he's still on.
Okay, I think we need a different exception, right? This was the one for claims. Do we need a different exception that you're going to discuss tonight?
I think the bottom one is his. It's Dave's. 4-4.
Hello?
Dave?
Dave, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Hello?
Yeah, gotcha.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, this would be a pending litigation. We should cite pending litigation as the exception for the item that we would be talking about.
All right, so you feel comfortable with what's been read?
Well, I can go to the, I can pull up the pending litigation site, probably just to make sure that it is, in fact, properly cited. Just 1 second here.
We need a roll call to go into an executive session.
Yeah, they need a roll call to come out of executive session. You can,
We're still.
Yeah.
you can go ahead and stop the broadcast because we're going into executive session, I think.